Welcome to Lagniappe, a KEDM feature about area events, issues, and people. I'm Jay Curtis with KEDM. Two guests in the studio with me from the cast of Anastasia, our directing team. Emily Stogner is the director, and Lindsay Reynolds is the music director. Thank y'all both so much for being here. Just a few days, opening 1 week from tonight, and intensive for Anastasia. First off, let's briefly, Emily, talk about the story itself, which is not the movie that you might know.
Not a movie. Also, Anastasia is not a Disney princess. If anybody was like, I don't remember that. No, not a Disney princess. Better. 20th century Fox princess. Absolutely obsessed with Anastasia growing up. She was my favorite. And it kind of takes you through the late 1800s Russia, Bolsheviks movement, and the Romanov family. And historically, if you know anything about the Romanov family, there was a rumor that went around, and it like an old wives' tale, I guess, maybe, where, Anastasia, the lost princess of the Romanovs.
That persisted well into into my childhood.
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. New evidence shows that wasn't a thing, but we love to make believe on the stage. And so this movie was turned into a musical. It's a little bit different. It was on Broadway, premiered on Broadway. Absolutely beautiful music. They have tweaked it a little bit, have changed the antagonist to a more historically, I guess, convincing, even though Rasputin was a part of the story, historically accurate. They have taken him out and put a basically like sergeant of the military, who's like following Anya around, trying to basically finish out his father's wishes of making sure the Romanov family line is completely gone. And Anya starts off, and Dmitry and Vlad all start off in St. Petersburg, and times are bad. They then, all for different motives, end up in Paris together. Anya trying to find her family, and then you kind of see how all three of those connect together. Has a beautiful story around those characters, and then ultimately, do they find family? Do they find connection, or have they had it this whole time? Find out next weekend.
Next weekend. SYAAonline.com is the place to get tickets. Lindsay, let's talk about a little bit learning the music in such an intensive situation, because this is a four and a half week production, right?
Yes. And they had to be off book in like 2.5 weeks, I think is what we gave them. And they've been fantastic.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna have to like continuously be like, hey, by the way, you're off book. Right. But no, they were like, okay.
And they did great. Like we recorded parts so that they could practice at home musically. And it's been fun because they came in knowing their parts. And so we were able to really talk about how to use music to tell the story, which is where I think theater and musical theater becomes pure magic, because I can get lost when I can just sit back and the music tells the story for me. Mm-hmm.
And because it's summer and many of these students don't have other jobs or quite as many other responsibilities, they can really dig in and learn all of this stuff very quickly.
Yes.
Yes, and they have dedicated that time, and it shows.
It does.
It really. There was, I think it was one practice that they did this like 4-part harmony, and I was like, this is the most moving thing I've ever seen at SYAA. And I'm biased, I know that. But come and see if I'm lying, because it was so moving, and they just dive into these characters so dramatically, and it's inspiring. And they take it, they're so serious about it, and I love it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that in terms of the teaching that it takes for the acting, not just the acting, the singing, and the dancing all together.
Yeah, we've really, between the music and the acting, have focused on making sure you understand your purpose on stage, whether it's an ensemble member or one of the leads. Like, everyone has a purpose in weaving together this story. When you're in Paris, how are you acting? Versus when you're in Petersburg, how are you acting? Two totally different climates, two totally different, historically different
political
climates, And so being able to add the historical element to it, finding like a backstory and basically teaching them like what it is to 100% dedicate yourself to a character in a 2-hour span and not dropping it, and how to act professionally in that way of like, you are not only respecting your story that you've developed, but the person you're acting against on stage with, and together you're this ecosystem that you have created on stage brings the audience to this whole new storytelling level that is what makes Disney, Broadway, like those shows that have such like people who grew up going to Disney or going to Broadway, and it's just emotional connection that it brings you to. And I think everyone can really connect to the story in different ways.
And for the kids, like it creates this sense of family among them. It is so fun to watch them like help each other, to watch them develop their own characters, and then to have their character play off of their friend's character. That has been a really fun process to watch.
There have been some special moments in practice where you feel, even the kids who are watching their friends do these parts, and there have been moments where you feel sucked into the story so well, and we'll take a moment and we'll like, did you feel that? Like all of the people in the audience, and they're sitting there watching their friends, and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, we felt it. And so
chill bumps
watching,
on the back, right?
chill bump moments, and they're learning by like realizing how their work in these characters and developing the story and like owning the words they're saying, and not just saying lines, but like owning them and the lyrics, how it works in their favor, and they're watching it real time, how this all works in their favor of creating a beautiful story on the stage.
Real quick shout out to your collaborating team, the rest of the creative team.
Yeah. Of course, we have the music director, Lindsay Reynolds. We have Jennifer Whited in costumes, absolutely gorgeous costumes. We have our choreographer, Megan Wilkins, and the set has been designed by Scott Baronet.
All right, so coming up next weekend, June 27th, 28th, and 29th, how do you get tickets, and how does all that work?
Yeah, go to syaaonline.com. You have 4 times that you can see it. 2 different casts, but June 27th through the 29th, get your tickets. You will not want to miss it. It's cheaper than going to Starbucks, and it is cheaper than taking your family to Tinseltown. I mean, but support Tinseltown, but also support the arts.
Emily Stogner is the director of Anastasia at Strauss Youth Academy for the Arts. Lindsay Reynolds is our music director, the choreography by Megan Wilkins. Find out more about this and other Lagniappe interviews at KEDM.org. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and listen to the Lagniappe podcast on all major podcast platforms.